But it's all about the NFL right now. If you haven't heard the news, we're going to start spreading the news. Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys have agreed to terms.
Wow.
Tomorrow was the deadline. They'd had to franchise him if they didn't come to a deal. Now, they could have kept negotiating. But Jerry Jones caves, and Dak Prescott, who even I don't think is a top 5 quarterback, toward the end of the top 10, maybe, gets 4 years, $160 million, a record $126 million guaranteed, no tag, so they can't franchise tag him after this deal, and no trade. Those are 2 clauses he had. So if you were thinking, well, they'll sign him and trade him to Seattle for Russell Wilson, not if Dak doesn't want to. So Dak Prescott, hey, he bet on himself and he won. All right, Rob, let's do it. Your thoughts on Dak Prescott's deal?
Typical Jerry Jones. He always caves in the end, which I don't understand. He could have done this last year if he was going to do the contract. It makes no sense to me. If I'm the only person who should be upset is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes signed a contract where he only got $63 million fully guaranteed. Dak will earn $66 million to sign Chris and $75 million over the first 3 years. I mean, the money difference is outrageous as far as the guaranteed money. 126 to 63. But Dak won. I mean, Jerry did this with Ezekiel Elliott, the holdout, and then what did he do? He rolled over, gave him the richest contract ever for a running back, and here he is with a quarterback who, I'm with you, it might not even really be in the top 10 or top 8, but it's about when you get paid and when you sign, and either you have to make a deal. If they just signed him to another franchise tag, they would have had to pay him how much this year? $42 million, $38 million?
37.7.
Yeah, you want to pay $38 million either way, and then you'd have to kick the can down to 1 more year if you wanted to keep him. This is what should have been done 2 years ago rather than now. And coming off a major injury, I find this to be shocking. But it is Jerry Jones, so it's not shocking from Jerry Jones' standpoint. He's paid everybody. Everybody who's gone to Dallas has gotten paid. Big time.
Yeah. Look, I'm with you, Rob. They should have done this not last year, 2 years ago. Here's the thing with Jerry Jones. He's a horrible poker player. A horrible poker player. God bless you if you see yourself sitting across the table from Jerry Jones and all the chips are in the middle of the table. I'm serious. Because that's what he's done. He has known, Rob, all along, he's had to, that he wants Dak back, that Dak's his guy. And he was betting on Dak crumbling. That's all. That's the only explanation. That's it. And he's the same thing he did with Ezekiel Elliott.
Same exact thing. That's right? What I'm saying. Same exact
He's
thing.
betting on them crumbling. And look, and you got to say this about Dak for all his flaws. This speaks to what I've always said about him and why I like him, even for some of his physical deficiencies as a quarterback. I think he's very strong mentally. I think he's got character, high character. I think he's a leader. He believes in himself. All these intangibles we always talk about. He has them, and I think he showed it in this, Rob. I mean, he believed in himself to the very end. And to do that, you got to be willing to take a risk. You got to be willing to walk away and lose. If you lose, if you gamble and you lose, you got to be able to live with it. And he was, apparently. And as you said, like Jerry Jones, we all know the contracts just keep going up and up and up. The only saving grace for Jerry Jones, Rob, is that the new TV deal is coming up, Rob G, next year, next summer, the summer after that. In 2 years, the new TV deal. And it's going to be bananas. That's the expectation. The salary cap's going to skyrocket. And this $40 million a year for Dak Prescott won't seem like that. But that's always the case. Remember when Jimmy Garoppolo signed? It was like, what? The richest quarterback deal ever, the richest NFL deal ever off 5-6 games?
Especially since he hadn't played any games, really.
Right.
Not enough to really.
He had played 5 games with them, or 6,
warrant that
whatever
contract, right, at the time.
But
right.
now that doesn't seem like that seems like a bargain. And this will too eventually when the new deal kicks in. But here's the thing, Rob. Dak and his people knew that. That's what they were banging on. And I bet you that's what they were telling Jerry Jones. Look, oh, yeah, you're looking at it now. It looks like we're breaking you and you're not going to have any room for anybody else. Look, that TV deal's coming up in short order, and this won't be anything. We won $160 million. Good for Dak Prescott.
Well, you also got to know who you're dealing with, and Jerry's a pushover. Jerry has been a pushover. Everybody that seems to come through Dallas gets big money. It doesn't mean they win. They haven't won anything in 25 years, but he does. Right. They know to go to Jerry and just wait. Ezekiel Elliott went to Mexico, came back chunky, hadn't been the same since, Chris, but he got paid.
Yep.
Got paid,
yep.
And this is what Jerry does. Instead of dealing with stuff in front of him, which he could have done a couple years ago, he for whatever reason, he plays hard to get, but in the end, winds up being a pushover. So the Cowboys, if you're going to keep them, I guess you can't kick it down the road again because it's $38 million this year, no matter what. And then he just
next
figured
year's
if I'm
tag
paying,
would have been $54 million.
That's what I'm saying, and you're getting him for 42, right, over 3 years.
Right.
So if you average that out, it's probably a little less than if you did pay 38 and 52.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that was the thing. Their only option at this point was start all over. That was it. They would have had to start all over. Remember, all these guys they've paid. You didn't pay Ezekiel Elliott to start all over. You know, you didn't pay your wide receivers to start all over. Your defense. I mean, they've paid a lot of guys. And so they had no choice. And Dak knew it. And again, he was a better poker player. What it tells you, Rob, is Jerry Jones, when it comes to winning, when it comes to building a team, he doesn't know what he's doing.
No, and we've seen it time and time again. This is so Dallas Cowboys, so over the top. Like, did you really have to do that?
Absolutely.
Do you know what
would he
doing?
have gotten 2 years ago, Rob? At most,
not
30
that.
a year at most. He probably would have been in the 20s, maybe. I mean, this is unbelievable. And look, again, I'm happy for Dak, and I kind of feel like they had to do it. Jerry, we know, wants to win a championship, and I like Dak. I like, I don't have to mention all the intangibles I think he has. He did beat Russell Wilson in a playoff game. He has won more games in his first three or 4 years than anybody other than Tom Brady and Russell Wilson. But he's been, I can't act like he's been great the last couple years. And, last year those numbers look gaudy on paper, but we know a lot of them came with Dallas down big. And so Dak's got a lot to prove. And, Jerry, though, this was such a bad deal of negotiating. And as I said, Rob, it's not even like you can say, well, they signed him and they got intentions. Maybe they could trade him to Houston for Deshaun Watson. No, they can't. Because I'm sure Dak doesn't want to go to Houston to play for that mess. So just good job by Dak. Horrible job by Jerry Jones. And this is it. But they had to do it, Rob. They had no choice.
No, they had to make something happen. Otherwise, as we talked about it, it's only going to cost you more. So Jerry waited till the last second, as he did before. We saw that even with Emmitt Smith during the heyday.
Yep.
Emmitt Smith got him, got Jerry as well. Yep. And I'm just blanking the receiver who came in the trade from the Raiders.
Amari
Amari got paid.
Yep.
He hadn't lived up to those numbers, Chris, that contract,
Nah.
but he got paid from Jerry too.
Right. And that's my point is that, you didn't pay all these guys to start all over. And again, Dak knew it, and so give Dak credit and his representation. And you're right. I mean, look, I love Pat Mahomes and he wants to win and he took less money. It's not even the less overall money, but just the $63 million guaranteed.
Ridiculous.
That's half. I mean, yeah, if he gets all of his money, that'll be fine. $500 million. But
he should have gotten way more guaranteed.
Yes, that exactly. And even if, look, he wanted to do the team a solid. I don't know what the implications were for the cap or whatever, but you still could have got more guaranteed.
That's all I'm talking about. Right, out of that contract, he should have gotten more guaranteed money, not 63 the day he signs and Dak is signing the day he signs. I mean, the day he signed, Mahomes, Chris, got 10, and Dak is signing and getting 66 the day he signs.
Yep.
That's a huge amount of money.
He hasn't done half. He hasn't done half of what Pat Mahomes has done. Yeah, not even close to half. And so another fortunate thing for the Cowboys, but these things can change quickly, Rob. And Washington, if they get a quarterback, they could actually be a pretty good team. That division, they're lucky they're in that division. Right now, New York Giants, who knows what they are? Philadelphia, who knows what they are? Washington, who knows what we know what these teams are. They're not very good. Washington's got that defense, but that's about the only, guiding light, the only bright light in the whole division. So Dallas certainly has a chance to win in that division, but this is embarrassing for Jerry Jones, Rob. It's embarrassing.
It is Jerry at his worst, and you just keep saying to yourself, "Can it get worse?" Yes. Who did we have on the other day? The Randy Mueller, the executive, who said he didn't understand what was going on. Right? Remember about the whole Dak Prescott?
Right.
Like this doesn't make any sense. Why they didn't sign him 2 years ago, and the price doesn't go down, Jerry? It only goes up. So what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
If he's your quarterback, that's why I always questioned it, because it didn't make sense to me. If he's your quarterback, you should have signed him as soon, Chris, as you were eligible to sign him. If he's your guy.
Because if we know, then the price doesn't go down. The quarterback contracts are going up every year. And it doesn't matter your ability.
It has nothing to do with it.
If you're a legitimate, franchise quarterback, you might not be a star, but you're a guy, okay, we're going to build around him. Then you're getting paid. He's not better than Deshaun Watson. He's making more money. That's it. And so bad job by Jerry Jones. Good job. Great job. Terrific job by Dak Prescott.
AJ in Georgia, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, AJ?
Hey, guys. Really like the show, man. Appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you.
What I was going to say is, if you consider what he made last year under the franchise tag tacked on top of this deal, yeah, they overpaid for him. Especially when you think, I don't think anybody can say, can this team win a Super Bowl with this contract, with this quarterback, the way they constructed? I would say no. So when you think about that,
some people thought they'd get there this year. Some people thought they were getting there this year.
Yeah, I never thought so, but I'm with you. When you look at what the positions that have been paid and the money that the Cowboys have, and now this deal, it's
I wouldn't think they're gonna win the Super Bowl.
No,
last year they had some injuries. They had a lot of guys underachieved. These guys, Rob, have to play up to their money. It's as simple as that, and that's a
which
big
they
if.
haven't all done yet.
Right.
Marty in Kentucky, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Marty?
How you doing, fellas?
What up, Marty? How are you, man?
I'm pretty good. I've come to another decision on Jerry Jones. I've been with everybody else lately over the years thinking this guy he's in control of everything. but doesn't know what he's doing, and he's run this franchise in the ground for 25 years. But now I got to thinking, in 1989, he bought the franchise. He made the Herschel Walker trade, which involved 18 players, which gave them a 3 Super Bowl dynasty, and he bought that team for $180 million, and now it's worth more than any team in the NFL. $5.7 million, 5.8
billion.
I can't remember.
Billion, you mean?
Sorry,
billion.
yes, correct, Rob. Billion. That's a big. That B's important.
And he brought him for $130 million.
180, I think.
180 million, and now it's
180
5.7 billion. Yes, I'm starting to think that trade was made more money than anything ever in sports, and I think that he is fooling us all. He wants to keep certain players because he wants to keep the hype. I'm not sure he cares about winning. He just cares about keeping the value of that franchise.
I disagree with that. I don't think so. And here's the reason why, Marty, I don't buy your take. Is that Jimmy Johnson gets a lot of credit for putting that team together.
Right.
And they haven't won
And
since
that trade, too.
Right. And Jimmy Johnson, they haven't won since then. So I think since Jerry's taken over full control of the operation and has run it like a mom and pop store, and I know he's already in the Hall of Fame or whatever, but Jerry won't rest, to me, until he can put the team together, win a Super Bowl, and claim some of that. I mean, that's my issue, is that I think Jerry wants to win desperately his way.
Well, where I do agree with Marty, and that's why, if you noticed during that last segment, I said when it comes to football, when it comes to winning, when it comes to putting together a team, Jerry doesn't know what he's doing. He's been a great owner business-wise. I mean, just as far as, the Cowboys were huge, obviously, already.
I was going to say, even before Jerry got there, let's not be crazy to act like
he didn't build them.
He didn't build them. The Cowboy brand was already, they were America's team, Chris, before Jerry bought them.
Agreed. But my point is, we always talk about, he hasn't won a Super Bowl in a quarter century, and yet they're still America's team. They're still being talked about every day on all the networks, all the radio shows. They're not good in football, but they still are huge business-wise. And, Marty just gave the number, $5.7 billion that they're worth. So he's fine. I can't criticize him for that and the drama, and they're always in the news, but he don't know what he's doing when it comes to building a football team.
Yeah, it is amazing. And hopefully Dak won't injure himself the way he's been jumping around on that knee after getting that contract. He might wind up spraining his knee again. Let's see, Keith in New Orleans. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Keith?
Yo, what's up, fellas? Man, listen, I'm thinking about going to become an agent because Jerry Jones pays everybody, man. And listen, let's not forget about the Marcus Lawrence deal. You can't even give the Marcus Lawrence away right now.
No,
you can't give him. You can't give Amari Cooper away right now. You can't give Ezekiel Elliott away right now. So I think the Dak contract, it just piles on top of these massive deals that Jerry has made. Jalen Smith's another one. Had his worst season in the NFL that he paid last year. Listen, this guy is supposed to be a shrewd businessman and cannot negotiate to save his life. He loses every negotiation. And, so Dak is overpaid, in the grand scheme of things because of how bad other contracts have been.
No, there's no two ways about it.
No, I think he's spot on, Keith.
Right.
I think you're spot on, and you gave the other examples. We were just talking about Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott, but other people have hit the jackpot at Jerry Jones' world.
We got Andre in Massachusetts.
Yep, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
Evening, gents. Thanks for taking my call. Listen, couldn't be happier for Dak Prescott in terms of getting his money. But in my mind, this deal is an absolute win-win. As Marty from Kentucky said.
Win-win?
Yeah, it's a win-win because Jerry's laughing all the way to the bank. As Marty from Kentucky said, the Dallas Cowboys are the most valuable sports franchise in the world.
Andre, I'm going to stop you. Andre, I'm going to stop you. Whether they sign Dak or not, they're still going to be the richest franchise. Come on. You don't have to overpay people. That doesn't change the You think that changes the Cowboys' value on the ledger sheet because they signed Dak today?
And
I think it absolutely does because we saw what happened. Sorry not to cut you guys off, but we saw what happened with Gucci DiNucci and the Red Rocket. Okay, they were going nowhere. Dak, as you said, Chris, what he lacks in terms of sheer skill, he makes up for in intangibles and leadership. Okay, he's marketable and he's going to stand tall, unlike some people who play quarterback in Philadelphia when it's time to get tough.
Andre, we agree with all that. I mean, I do at least. I agree that Dak was your guy. But here's the thing. There's a salary cap. It'd be one thing if it was baseball, there was no salary cap, and this didn't impact the rest of the way I build the team.
$300 million, right, Chris? And it doesn't affect whether you could bring in other people.
They can sign somebody else for $300 million if they want.
Exactly.
But football's different. Now it impacts who they can keep, who they can sign going forward. When you could have just signed him for a lot less
a long time ago, right? That's why I don't understand Andre talking about it's a win-win. No, they could have done this already.
Right. It's a win for Dak.
Dak won this. There's no win for Jerry.
No, I bet Jerry Jones is not celebrating right now.
No,
Jerry Jones did not walk into that negotiating room or put the fax in the machine for them to sign the contract or scan it over, whatever he did, with a smile on his face. He did so grudgingly. He got beat. Yes. He got beat down.
Basically. How about Wayne in Richmond, Virginia? You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Wayne?
What's going on, fellas? Man, it's harder and harder to get a hold of you guys, man.
Man, you know what?
That's
good and bad. Come on, am I right? If you were so easy to get in, that would mean we were doing.
You wouldn't appreciate. Now you appreciate it being in today.
I truly do, right? I've been riding the whole way. But I wanted to say, honestly, I think that the timing of the deal for Dak was genius by Jerry Jones. I know the last caller talked about Jalen Smith and other people like that, right? My thought is the timing, right? When it's all said and done, how you load the deal. The other deals with Zeke, Jalen Smith, how they've been loaded up. I'm sure he's not that, ignorant to know the timing was important for him.
What timing? Because you think they'd have to overpay the other guys if they had done them after Dak? Is that what you're saying?
If you did Dak first, right, it sets a precedent. And
those guys know they're not going to make quarterback money. And they're even close.
Understood, but I know at the same time, people are going to talk, right? Especially in the locker room. Folks going to talk. So it's a matter of just signing people who are lesser than Dak for the importance of the team, right? You need a good linebacker. You need a good running back. You need a good D lineman. Lauren showed up this year. I'll say good D lineman, right? And now it's time for Dak. Watch how it plays out in the next couple of years. That's all I'll say.
I like Dak as a quarterback. He's not, a top 5 guy, but I've said it, Rob, all year. I think he's en route to being elite. So I've been saying he's your guy. You just could have got him for a lot cheaper. That's all there is to it.
Those are just facts. I don't even think that's. We talked to how many executives did we talk to on this show? Who said what are the Cowboys doing?
Right.
That's what they said.
That's the thing. I mean, you can't to say this is a win-win.
The Cowboys didn't win.
Again, Jerry Jones isn't in the poorhouse, but there's a salary cap. That's all we're saying. And they could have got Dak for cheaper. I mean, Rob, if they had signed him last year, right? Giving him the 4 years instead of he wanted 5 instead of insisting on 5, you could have gave him the 4 years for $35 million.
That could have been last
been better.
Last year, Chris, they were hell bent on it. It had to be 5. Yep. Now they took 4. So what did they gain? They didn't gain anything. I don't understand it. They were hell bent. It had to be 5.